Ang tubig importante kayo kay para ma-survive ta sa itong kinabuhi. Mas okay pa nga walay love life basta na tubig. Pero mas maayo kung naana kay love life. Ano kayo tubig?
Tubig, kinabuhi. Walay tubig, kinabuhi.
Water is one of the most important substances on earth. All humans, animals and plants must have water to survive. If there is no water, there would be no life on earth. Water is our lifeline that bathes us and feeds us. Some of the most important uses for water are at our homes. Domestic water use is a water used for indoor and outdoor household purposes. All the things you do at home: drinking, bathing, washing clothes and dishes, brushing your teeth, watering the yard and garden, and even washing the dogs. But how can water be preserved? How does it move around the earth? The process by which water moves around the earth, from the oceans to the atmosphere to the land and back to the ocean, is called the water cycle. Water regulates climate, storing heat during the day and releasing it at night, and carries heat from the tropics to the poles by sea and by air. Let's follow a single molecule of water, beginning in the ocean through the paths that may take before eventually winding up right where it started, back in the big blue sea. The fuel for this journey will be provided by our planet's prime energy source, the sun. During the day, the sun heats up the air and the ocean surface, causing water molecules to evaporate. Evaporation occurs when a liquid molecule of water escapes into the air as a gas. This scientific visualization shows how water evaporation, indicated in turquoise, is driven by the energy of the sun. Notice how the rate of evaporation pulses over land. It speeds up in the day and almost disappears at night. Over the ocean, evaporation appears to remain constant, both day and night. Water in the air in gas form is known as water vapor. The molecule is now fresh water, having left the ocean salt and other particles behind. The water evaporates and goes into the atmosphere, and then it doesn't necessarily just turn around and fall as rain or snow. Condensation is the process by which water vapor molecules cool, stick together, and become liquid again in cloud formation. This often happens in the atmosphere, where the temperature is much lower than it is near the surface. What happens in the atmosphere is, just like we have currents in the ocean, we have winds in the atmosphere that actually to some extent drive what goes on in the ocean currents. Materials in the atmosphere can travel a great distance, sometimes a quarter of a way around the world, just until they get to the point they actually turn into rain or snow and thereby fall back to the ocean or fall back to the land. This is called precipitation. If the water molecule falls on land as snow, it may be stored for a very long period of time. In a polar ice sheet or mountain glacier, depending on climate conditions, when rain falls or the snow melts, typically the next place it goes, it infiltrates into the soil, so soil is not a solid. There are pore spaces in there, and those can be filled with water, and there is amount of water in that soil at all times. If the soil is completely dry, then plants wouldn't be able to grow. If soil becomes saturated, any additional rainfall will collect in puddles and streams. Soil water that percolates deep enough will help to recharge an aquifer. An aquifer is any underground geologic formation that stores water, so it is typically either a rock with a water cracks in it or its sandy layer. Sand has a lot of pore space and it can store a lot of water. The water molecules might remain in an aquifer for more than 1,000,000 years. More likely, it would help to replenish a stream, which would feed into the lakes and rivers. Eventually, the water molecules will return to where it started, the ocean. Although water is considered renewable, our water supply is finite, which means that we do not have an endless supply. We only have the water that we have now. 97% of all the water on earth is salt water, which is not suitable for drinking. Only 3% of all the water is fresh water, and only 1% is available for drinking. The other 2% is locked in ice caps and glaciers. With all the people on earth relying on such a small percentage of all the water on earth, it only makes sense that we must preserve and conserve our water. Water pollution. It is one of the main concerns of the world today. This is the result of both garbage dumped by individuals and dangerous chemicals illegally or illegally dumped by manufacturing industries, health centers, schools, and marketplaces. With this, governments of numerous countries have striven to find solutions to reduce this problem, aiming to stop death of aquatic animals, disruption of food chains, diseases, and destruction of the ecosystem as a whole. Another problem is the geometrically increase of population. This results to increase of water stress, thus water demand will increase unless there are corresponding increases in water conservation and recycling of this vital resource. According to UN, in year 2025, water shortages will be more prevalent among poorer countries where resources are limited and population growth is rapid, such as Middle East, Africa, and parts of Asia. Expansion of business activities such as tourism and entertainment adds to these water resource problems. This expansion requires increased water services, including supply and sanitation, which can lead to more pressure on water resources and natural ecosystem. Adding to the list of water stress is the climate change. This could have significant impacts on water resources because of the close connections between the climate and hydrological cycle. Rising temperatures will increase evaporation and lead to increases in precipitation. Both droughts and floods may become more frequent in different regions at different times. Higher temperatures will also affect the water quality in many ways that are not well understood. Regarding these concerns and contributing risk factors about water, it is an important thing for all of us to know how to preserve and protect it. Despite the growing water stresses and environmental pollution, working with the goals such as conserving and using it wisely should be put into everyone's mindset. To make it possible, this will serve as an awareness to the mass, especially to the policy makers and the constituents of Iligan City, on the current issues and challenges regarding the city's water resources. Going to the southern Philippines, the city of majestic waterfalls Iligan is a highly urbanized independent city in northern Mindanao region. Iligan has a total land area of 813.37 square kilometers, making it one of the top 10 largest cities in the country. It had a population of 342,618 inhabitants in the 2015 census. Iligan City is known to have more than 10 springs as their sources of water supply. According to the data presented by Iligan City Waterworks System, from year 2008, around 85% of the city's total sources of water is from Dito Kalan Spring, where they get 8,500 gallons amount of water per minute to supply the city. However, due to the fact that Iligan City is mostly mountainous, access to water supply in many households is still considered to be a big problem in outlying purocks since pipelines have not reached their houses. Most hinterland barangays manage their own water system with technical assistance from Waterworks Iligan. Out of 45 barangays in the city, Barangay Panoroganan has completely no access to potable water system. Residents in the affected barangays have a long time complaint about the unresolved water systems to their city officials. Complaints were addressed at a time where some of the residents were still in their elementary days until the time where they have their own families to tend off. Yet the complaints about their water system were still yet unheard and no prompt actions were given. Many families from Barangay Abono, Barangay Dalipuga, Barangay Palao, Barangay Maria Cristina, and Barangay Santiago still need to queue and pay 1 peso per gallon to get water for their everyday use with an average trekking time of 15 minutes. Due to that, barangay councils have implemented projects such as Poso ng Barangay for the common use of their constituents as a temporary solution for their problem, since the barangay officials promised them that they will do something about the water problem, while other households were forced to create a tabay near their houses for their family's own consumption. We conducted an online survey to find out which specific areas in Iligan City has no access to water. From the response we got from the netizens, one comment from a resident of Purok 18 Barangay Palao stood out, expressing her concerns about the water supply in their barangay. We then went to their place to interview her, but instead, we bumped into her mother, who also expressed the same sentiments.
Pwede haguag yun, de. Yun okay, pahuway yun mo kay ito nang bukatalok doon ang container. Magpaabot ko ng mahumantong kauna na mo. Atong may aging kuan gani, nagpila mi di, alauna mi sa kadlawon magkuan di ako lat kay tagkan kista ng magkabo. Labi na nang mamilgaig mais diha. Sila maging makauna diha og halod. Okay, maulangin namin.
As an informal settler, 63-year-old Violeta Aragot was resigned to get water the hard way. After being relocated to this mountainous area in Purok 18 of Barangay Palao, she would trek every day to a hand pump for her family's daily water needs. The hand pump that the residents have been using is their common pool resource. Due to this, problems such as congestion and the unavailability of water is not new to the residents. But the water wasn't always safe to use.
Panahon nga wala pa yung mineral kay kato mong imnon. Sa lagi magkakuha lagi kalibanga ang mga apo mga anak. Timo kami kay kuan na. Kana itong magian og baha man. Then paabutan namin namo og mo tinaw ay mi magkamo din. Sa una mong dili man mi mag sana dili kita pabukalan. Inom lang mi diretso. Then ana diba sa una nga wala ray mahitabo kung di namo pabukalan. Karon na mineral ang imnon. Kanang puso amo na lang kaligo hugas plato.
Aside from the area, her children had experienced skin diseases and allergies from the water. Since then, they avoided using hand pump water and resorted to buy from refilling stations to ensure safety. The 1 gallon cost 30 pesos, which they find expensive since they live in a far-flung areas. There is also an incident where Nanay Violeta sleep while fetching water.
O naa, kanang madigyas, galon. Diyan sa pagkain, sige na may kadigyas niya. Maligid as tang galon, maapil og hagbong gikan sa ulo, doon man namo.
But that's all in the past now for Nanay Violeta. Due to these existing problems about water pipeline, many concerns have been raised. Some candidates for local government offices every election has offered them help if they win, but
Daghang kayong dugay na biya ng kuan nang hangyo may mga purok kuan mi diri nawasa kanang kunikan ba aron isog man bayad mi kada bulan gud paabot mi bayad kada bulan pila pabayad kung makakonik kami meter tubig.
even they find these daily routines tiring and costly, they have no choice but still to get water from the hand pump to use for dishwashing and for doing the laundry. Nanay Violeta added that she is still hopeful that someday water pipeline will reach their area. The Office of Iligan City Waterworks System is a department charged with the responsibility of managing the city's water resources, as well as allocating enough for consumption through the development of water sources for distribution to its constituents through piping system. With a great number of springs as water sources in the city, Iligan Waterworks System sees no depletion of water supply from the 11 springs for the city's consumption.
Okay ra ang production. Actually, ang atong tubig, abot na din sa system, gamay na siya kay daghan na mga applicants. Sa isa kay kasimana, every Wednesday man mi diri mag-conduct ka ng seminar, kay seminar man namo ang mga new applicant. More than 50, 60, weekly yun na. Haman na asam na sila mga tubig sa linya na to, pero gikan sa atong source. Ang atong source, okay, wala siya ikuan, wala siya i-reduce production, pero din na sa system na itungod sa nagpanag-ayo ang mga client ba, mga client na nag-apply ng tubig.
Engineer Eloro added that the problem about the pipeline is beyond their control, since the government is the one who allocates budget for that. Hence, they can only wait for the action of the government. That is the reason why they cannot give proper response to the complaints of the people who do not have access to the system from Waterworks Iligan. With that said, we also interviewed the councillor of the local government of Iligan, Attorney Demosthenes Plando, to give light about the government's actions and plans regarding the water supply problem, since the residents are already wondering if the government is doing something to alleviate them from this issue.
Now we are constructing a water reservoir, hopefully to supply the water problem or to address the water problem of the residents of Barangay Calao, particularly Isabel Village. It's still under construction. At the foot of the city hall, when you go to the city hall, there, right side, right portion, then you can see for yourself that there is an ongoing construction.
Aside from the current construct of a public reservoir, the government also plans to collaborate with a private firm to help the residents of Barangay Palao.
We are trying to address the comprehensive problem on water of Iligan. So that's why the city is trying to engage the services of a private corporation, Odina Corporation actually. Odina Corporation is a private firm offering services to address the water problem of the city. It will buy out the city's problem, the city's loan, in an amount of 500 million. It will pay the loan amount, then it will also provide the services. In a way, it's somewhat like a public-private partnership. Then hopefully it will also solve the problem of water in the entire city of Iligan.
Also, aside from being a local government official, he is also a resident who has the same sentiment as to every resident of Iligan City. When asked about how important water is,
right now, we have that water concern in a water project in Palao. But sa Bailey, Poblacion, and the rest, I think they have to wait for a private firm like Odina. Right now, what we have is spring sources. What we have now in Suarez is still spring. Suarez comes from spring. The water source comes from spring. But I don't know, because that is a water source of the expansion project engaged by the previous administration when it incurred a loan amount of 500 million pesos. But unfortunately, the water problem in Iligan was not put thoroughly or completely addressed. There are still areas in Iligan who have not even experienced or enjoyed potable supply, sufficient supply of potable water. So following with the engagement of another private corporation, Odina, I said earlier, then this might address the water problem of Iligan.
Iligan City, hailed as the city of waterfalls, lives up to its name. There is no problem with regards to the supply of water due to the fact that this city is blessed with an abundant number of natural water resources, may it be waterfalls, springs, and groundwater. The only problem with this is the distribution of the supply of water to every household in Iligan. There is a lack of financial assistance from the government, which then immobilizes the city's water supply department to the city's piping system in order for them to supply water to those hard-to-reach households. Some people do not realize the importance of water. We must learn to save water now for the future. The quality of our water is very important. What we save now can be used by our future generation. How? If we have sufficient water now, we can delay the need to develop additional water sources for our domestic use. Thus, we will not disrupt its natural flow and our wells will not run dry, as the saying goes. Water conservation is a big thing, but every little bit helps. So don't think that what you do doesn't matter, since our micro efforts adds up to a macro effect. Changes in our lifestyles will change the course of our water and its quality. Water conservation needs to be a way of life, not just something we think about once in a while. If we all do our part in conserving water, we can make a huge difference for the environment. Water depletion is a serious threat to everyone. Since each of us depends on water for life, it is a responsibility to learn more about water conservation and how we help keep our water safe for generations to come. Water conservation is not a job for a specific profession. It is a job for every person who just likes to have access to the life-sustaining resource of water. We must all recognize that water conservation is our personal responsibility and not just leave it up to other people. We all enjoy the many ways that we use water, so why not do our part in caring for our water? I am Renzo Clyde Damoni, and this is our documentary.